Well, hello and welcome back, everybody. This is the Jason Stapleton Program, broadcasting once again from Southern California. It's rainy and nasty out today. I guess they're evacuating Santa Barbara because of the potential for mudslides up there again. You know, like a bunch of people died up there the last time they had heavy rains, and now they're evacuating people to make sure. They're telling them they can't come back. Mandatory evacuations.
Wow, it's terrifying.
That's it.
That's it.
Just terrifying.
What do you do? How do you respond immediately after you're told you have to leave your home? I mean, do people normally have full discussion?
You freaking leave. I don't understand this. These people are like, there are fires happening all over the all over California, and they're telling people, hey, you need to evacuate your property. You need to get out of here. And people are like, nah, we're gonna tough it out. It's like, how are you going to tough it out? It's not like it's a drought. It's not like you're going to be snowed in. Like, you literally could be set on fire.
Maybe they have flame retardant suits.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, then more power to them. Well, hey, guys, I have a very special episode today. We have Nickolas Wildstar in the studio today. He's running for governor here in California on the Libertarian ticket, and so I'm pleased to be able to share him with you and let him talk a little bit about who he is. Nickolas, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Jason. Pleasure to meet both of you and Lizzie. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. So start out talking to me a little bit, because you've got an interesting story. You've got kind of a cool background, both about where you come from and also how you got into politics and really formed an ideology. And specifically, I'll lead and direct you where I want you to go with this, kind of talking about Occupy Wall Street, talking about Anonymous and that sort of piece of your background. So tell everybody a little bit about you, how you kind of found your way, because we all find our way to our political philosophy and ideology differently. And so share with everybody a little bit about how you did it and how you came to be a libertarian.
Absolutely. Well, I moved out to California at the age of 17 from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and came out here to pursue a career in music, thinking, of course, as soon as I get out here and drop my first album, you know, I'm going to blow up and everybody's going to know who I am and tour the world. But, of course, it didn't work out that way. You get here from wherever you are in the world. A lot of people come here to pursue careers in the entertainment industry, and they think it's going to happen that way. But you get here and you find out that it really is hard work. You have to be out there doing as many gigs as possible. You have to be out there working for free, just providing that art and making it available as a product to people just to get your foot in the door.
Is it every time I walk down Venice Beach, I got guys who are selling me their albums and who are handing me stuff. Hey, is that what it is?
Yes.
That's the thing, right?
People.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Exactly.
Because I appreciate the hustle. Like I'm not. It's not my scene. It's not really my music, but I appreciate the hustle. I can respect that. And so you came out here to really start. And I know being out here now, I know a lot of people who are in the same position. I had dinner the other night with I know nothing about the music industry at all, but I had the chance to sit with there were 5 or 6 rappers, and don't ask me how. I know a girl. I met a girl through a friend. This is not a girlfriend or anything like that. I just met a girl through a friend of mine who's in the music business, and she does a lot of producing, and she's kind of trying to. She's got kind of she's not really well known, but she's working. And she has lots of really rappers who are in a variety of different areas. Some are more successful, some are less. Some are paying their bills with it, some are not. And so I'm sitting in this group with a bunch of different rappers, and they're talking about how difficult it is with licensing music and people using clips and beats and things like that. Exactly. It was a whole world I knew nothing about, and I instantly realized it was not something that I wanted to be involved in, that it was way too complicated, and it seemed like there were 15 ways, 80 different ways for you to get screwed, and it seemed like a very, very, very hard business to break into.
It is, definitely, especially like you said, when it's more of a focus on the business part than the music, and as an artist, you're just thinking, I just want to be able to express myself and make that music and have it be able for the world to hear. Yeah. But you have to deal with contracts. You have to deal with the executives for the record labels. And I ended up having to turn down a lot of those offers because it was not beneficial to me. I like to read, and a lot of these artists just would like to sign their, everything away just to get a career. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much had to do my own independent thing. Mm-hmm. And I released my first album, The Real. My stage name is Cue Ball. So there are many cue balls out there, but I'm Cue Ball The Real.
You're the real one.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
So I was able to get that album pushed out there on the street so hard that it ended up getting placed, or one of my songs ended up getting placed in the movie Scary Movie 4.
Nice.
So I ended up getting placement from a company and got a license fee paid for, so that was really my first royalty check ever for, actually, producing my music. And it was a great accomplishment for me, and especially as being an underground musician, not too many artists even get to that level itself, to have a song and a, #1 motion picture and all of that stuff. At the time it was, so I'm proud of that.
Well, it's a big deal. Like most people never get to that point. So
exactly.
That's an accomplishment in and of itself.
Yeah.
And so, okay. So anyway, I was just interested in the rap music part because I had dinner with these folks, and it was something that I kind of, like what you're talking about with the licensing and all that, that was something they were talking about at the table. A beat got picked up for some guy who did a Black Panther, it got put in the Black Panther movie.
Oh, cool.
So he had a beat that was put in there, and so they were talking about it, and I know nothing about this, but it was really interesting to me from a business perspective. But anyway, let's move on. So talk a little bit about how you came to libertarianism, how you came to your philosophy, and why you're running for governor.
Absolutely. Well, being a musician, my goal was to always be able to express my own kind of life experiences in my own way, shape, and form. And that's really kind of how you find your way and your voice and your path of how you're going to be successful. So as I grew as a person, my music started to take shape and form.
Right.
Like, for instance, seeing all of the madness that was happening behind closed doors in the music industry caused me to speak on those issues more in my first album. Mm-hmm. So as I went through life, progressing as becoming a young man, going through my early 20s, I started to see taxes and how it was affecting me, and just going out in the working world and finding my own way as a working professional, finding that to be difficult as well. So as a person, pretty much, I just got to the point where I wanted to start to speak about those issues as well as a musician, and started to incorporate that into my music that I was developing at that time. So let's see,
was it an advocation? Were you advocating for at that time I guess the underdog, the little guy, and the kind of the way that the things are set against those who are trying to make it and trying to get above? Or was it that time a fully formed idea about what it takes to actually move people out of poverty? So, because when I started on my journey, I was neoconservative for a very long time. I don't come at it from a progressive line. I come at it from the opposite angle, and it took me a really long time. I was advocating for positions where I knew what I wanted to achieve, but I was really advocating positions that weren't ever going to achieve that. And so I guess as you kind of started to identify politically with what your ideas were, it sounds like it was kind of on the standpoint of, hey, I'm working, I'm hustling, I'm trying to get something done, and the world is set up. It's set up for me to fail, right? It's set up for me to be difficult for me, and what would make it easier?
Precisely.
Okay, cool.
And then, as I said, as I was growing as a person, and now I'm having to do something different to pay the bills, which is work a 9-to-5 day job,
right?
And now I'm starting to see the real matters of the world, and 9/11 happened, and that opened up my eyes to a lot of, I guess, the corruption that happens outside of America, mm-hmm. that we here in this country don't really pay attention to. I never knew about the occupational wars throughout the world, and us being in Iraq and creating the jihadists and Bin Laden and Al Qaeda were all, agents of ours that we put on the ground to help us fight and occupy Afghanistan and keep Russia out. And now these same people are coming back. It's blowback, and that wasn't really discussed in the news. I had to kind of dig deep to find those things. So I came to discover Alex Jones, of all people.
Right.
And believe it or not, at that time, I really felt like he was more of a true speaker than most of the media sources.
Yeah.
And as radical as it seemed, there was a lot of truth there, just connecting the dots between how we are the creators of our own demise here in this country, and it's all because of these people that we put into power that have the wrong agenda in place. Mm-hmm. And pretty much after that discovery and during 9/11 and learning about Building 7, all of these things that people would quote-unquote call you a conspiracy theorist for, it's mm-hmm. like once you have facts to back it up, what do you do about it?
Sure.
And so learning a bit more about politics pretty much opened my eyes to our elected officials and started to pay attention more to them. I apologize. I'm kind of blanking out.
It's
here.
Okay. No, so I want to talk a little bit about so the move. You were involved in the Occupy Wall Street group, or you were in support of that group initially. How did that kind of work?
Well, after all of this, yeah, that did kind of open up my eyes to more of what was going on in the world, and I ended up stumbling upon Anonymous somehow, and was becoming an anonymous activist, and then started to get into the Occupy movement. Mm-hmm. This was shortly after Barack Obama became president the first time,
right,
in 2008, and I was excited about his election because as a black man, I saw him as being very inspirational for
Sure.
being able to achieve that level of accomplishment and giving black people an actual voice on a platform where it actually mattered, could mm-hmm. change those policies that prevent us from being able to have more advantages and more opportunities in life and things being more equal. Mm-hmm. I saw that as being an opportunity, but shortly after he was in office and started to see him being paid off by Goldman Sachs and the same Wall Street bankers that he was supposedly wanting to fight at that time, I immediately saw that as being in alignment with the elite. Mm-hmm. You're pretty much just one of them, and you're not one of us. You're not part of the 99%. Mm-hmm. And, excuse me. So the Berkeley protests, all of the college campus protests that was happening at that time, just kind of made me really upset with how the government was responding, sending out, armed police officers to disrupt these groups or disperse these groups. And that was always the response that I received dealing with the police, mm-hmm. was that authoritarian type of response.
So how did you get from there, from the 99% to running as a libertarian governor? For governor as a libertarian. Good grief. How do you make that leap? Because it sounds like from up until this point in the story, you're really very progressive and you're really very interested in kind of like it's kind of the dichotomy between the rich and the poor, and right. making sure that the rich are punished and that the poor get what they're rightfully deserved. That's not a libertarian philosophy. So was there a move that happened there, or how did you get to libertarianism from there?
Well, all of my involvement in the community activism and protests and all of that, it made me aware of the policies mm-hmm. that pretty much were preventing those aspects, the foreign war occupational policies and or whatever. And here in California, of course, we have our governor mm-hmm. pretty much acting as the creator and the one that's condoning the activity of the police officers in our inner cities. Mm-hmm. So I saw him as being the direct threat to us here in the state.
Okay.
And my goal, of course, in getting involved with these groups was to let them know that if we wanted to make a change with these policies, that we needed to pretty much take our fight to Capitol Hill and City Hall where it counted. And after these protests,